Fresh off the heels of IDW's premier Deep Space Nine comic series, we are thrust into the Delta Quadrant for a 4-part Star Trek Voyager story. Seven's reckoning centers on none other than Seven of Nine, who is tasked with assisting an alien vessel that, like Voyager, is also on a long journey back to their homeworld. However, the ship is segregated between Kazar and Vesh, two sister species that is a tumultuous relationship. Seven becomes sympathetic to the plight of the Vesh and must decide on how to navigate this delicate divide between the two species. Hello everyone, my name is Captain Jack and welcome back to Trek Central. Today we're reviewing and breaking down issue 2 of Seven's Reckoning, the brand new 4-part Star Trek Voyager comic book series from IDW Publishing. You can check out the rest of our reviews for IDW's comics this year here on our YouTube channel, including Star Trek Year 5 and Star Trek Deep Space Nine Too Long a Sacrifice. We also covered the Star Trek Picard comic book series earlier on this year. Hard to think it's been a year now. If you are new around here, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from myself and the Trek Central team. You can also follow us on social media via the links down below in the video description. Be warned, we'll be discussing this comic in full detail, so expect spoilers. If this is your only warning, turn away now. This series sees the return of artist Angel Hernández, who previously worked on the Star Trek Picard Countdown comic book series. Their stars instantly recognisable for the use of bright colours and realistic portrayal of the characters. It is sort of no wonder that Seven is getting her own story due to her recent appearance in Star Trek Picard. Seven has gained a rise in popularity not since the days of Voyager was on air. However, the Seven we see in this comic is much less emotionally developed than her future counterpart. Seven's reckoning takes place near the time when Seven first joined the crew of Voyager. She is still navigating her humanity and therefore is still very robotic. She has a rocky relationship with the Doctor and has trouble connecting with her crewmates. How will Seven navigate her emerging humanity when dealing with a first contact scenario? Let's jump in. We start the issue with a tense confrontation between Tuvok and Seven. Seven is dismissive of Tuvok's questions about the status of the repairs and seems annoyed at his presence. Tuvok, on the other hand, tells Seven she would regenerate in a Borg alcove, almost like a parent telling a child to go to bed. Not a great welcome back to Voyager for Seven, I'd say. We are then taken to the Ordinary ship where Seven assists the Vesh in making repairs to their warp drive. The Vesh and the Kazar are very complex bug-like creatures. They are much more visually interesting than many of the creatures Voyager encountered on the actual show, which usually have the Star Trek staple of adding a few bumps on the forehead or an alien to call it a different species. But now, with the power of illustration, the crew of Voyager can encounter species very different from their own. Seven of Nine learns more about the relationship between the Kazar and the Vesh, even seeing one of their death rituals. Seven learns that the Kazar act as superiors to the Vesh and treat them horribly like slave labour. She learns there is a prophesied hero called the Dawnbringer who will liberate the Vesh from this life of servitude. It can be theorized that Seven will learn to feel sympathy for the Vesh and become this Dawnbringer. Seven then reveals to a Vesh friend named Grebe that the Kazar were using a Vesh as batteries while they were in cryostasis, and on their almost 1,000-year journey home. Grebe is obviously furious at this, but it does lead him to trust Seven. He informs his fellow Vesh of the news, and then is inspired to take a rebellion against the Kazar. We then see an awkward attempt by Ensign Harry Kim to make small talk with Seven of Nine. He asks about repairs on the ship, but she is just as short of him as she was with Tuvok. Harry leaves, and it's then revealed that Harry was sent by Tuvok, who was still concerned about Seven's motives. Seven is then ordered to see the Doctor to make sure none of her Borg nanoprobes have reactivated, and Seven tells the Doctor she has a deep distaste for a sense of humour above all others. This attitude by Seven is much different than the one she has by the end of Voyager, when the Doctor is her best friend. Captain Janeway then makes an appearance as she confronts Seven about her behaviour aboard the Ernal ship. She says that Seven is spending much longer than she needs to, and that her status reports are sparse. However, Seven refuses to acknowledge any failings on her part since she is still performing all her duties. She also noticeably withholds any information on the conflict between the Kazar and the Vesh. After Seven is dismissed, Commander Chakotay worries that Seven is developing an attachment to the Vesh. Of course, Tuvok suggests taking her off the mission, but Captain Janeway decides to see it through. She has a feeling that something might develop out of this, most likely something that would help develop Seven's humanity. During Seven's meeting with Janeway, Janeway expresses concerns that Seven is going to have another manic incident like when she ran away from Voyager to find her parent ship, the Raven. This is a reference to the Season 4 episode, The Raven, where we first learn of Seven's backstory and how her and her parents were assimilated by the Borg Collective. This is further evidence that the story takes place around this time when Seven joined the crew of Voyager. Of course, Seven then returns to Onar's ship and is summoned to the Kazar leader, Scepter. She explains on her homeworld the Vesh were once the rulers and the Kazar were slaves, until they were freed by the Dawnbringer. She also explains the special relationship between the Vesh and the Kazar. The Vesh emit a pheromone that extends the lifespan of the nearby Khazar. The two need each other to survive, essentially. Scepter can tell that 7 of 9 is beginning to feel empathy for the Vesh, but warns that any attempt to challenge her authority will only end in pain. 7 tries to warn Grieve that Scepter knows about rebellion, but all he replies with is, good. That concludes this issue of 7's Reckoning. The title implies that 7 must reckon with her commitment to Voyager to not interfere with the politics of Vesh and Khazar, and her emerging humanity. 7 will likely choose humanity, as it seems to be Janeway's hope and help the Vesh in their uprising. The Odinar ship is a very interesting parallel to Voyager. Both ships are on a long journey home, and both ships are made of crews from separate backgrounds. The Odinar is made up of Vesh and Khazar, and Voyager is made up of Starfleet and Maquis. While the two groups on Voyager learn to work together to form a unified crew, the Odinar vessels that have an ancient conflict seems to have no peaceful end in sight. That of course wraps up our review and breakdown for issue 2 of 7's Reckoning. If you want to read this IDW Star Trek comic for yourself, I left some links down below in the video description to where you can find out more information. For now though, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. I've been Captain Jack here on Trek Central. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Live long and prosper, my friends.